and also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today we will be doing our grade 7 English lesson on correlative conjunctions. And before we start with our lesson on correlative conjunctions, we're going to log into aplusstudents.ca. Once you've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of language arts, grade 7. Once we've selected the subject of language arts, grade 7, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of correlative conjunction. So correlative conjunction. So our chapter is correlative conjunctions. Our subject is English language arts, grade 7. And the lessons that we are going to be focusing on under the chapter of correlative conjunction is to use the correct pair of correlative conjunctions. And we're basically going to find out what correlative conjunctions are. All right. So correlative conjunctions, right, are conjunctions that are used in pairs. So it's conjunctions that is used in pairs, all right? That is now correlative conjunctions. They're used to show a relationship between the two equal parts of a sentence. For example, such as either two nouns or two verb phrases. So some of the correlative conjunctions, right? Remember we said it is in pairs, right? It's used in pairs. So some of the correlative conjunctions are both or and, that is a pair. Not only, but also. Neither, nor. Either, or. Whether, or. And, if, or then. So basically, correlative conjunctions, right, are conjunctions that are used in pairs. And they are used to show a relationship between two equal parts of a sentence, such as two nouns or two verb phrases. And we said some of the correlative conjunctions, right, that comes in pairs are both or and, or we say both and, not only or, but also, neither or nor, either or, whether or, and if or then. So when it comes to correlative conjunctions, right? Let's say the pair both or and. So the first correlative conjunction both or and, as well as the correlative not only but also, then these words are used to connect two things that are each true. So the correlative conjunction, which is both or and, as well as not only but also, these are used to connect two things that are each true. For example, both Natalie and I play the piano. All right. So it basically shows that these two things are each true. And we have an example that says both Natalie and I play the piano. And that is how we use the word, for example, let's say the correlative conjunction, which is both Natalie and I. So both or and. So both Natalie and I. Because both already means two people, you and you, but now we're also adding and, right? So both Natalie and I play the piano. Tammy, Tammy not only directed the show, but also wrote the music. So Tammy not only directed the show, but also wrote the music. So which means that these are two things that are each true. If we go on to the next correlative conjunction, then it says the correlative conjunctions, which is neither nor, are used to connect two things that are each untrue, which means that it is not true. So it connects things that is not true. Two things that is not true. For example, neither Ryan nor Emma has been to Canada. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? All right. So neither Ryan nor Emma has been to Canada, right? So there we have our word neither nor, right? Which means that they've never or not yet. So the correlative conjunction, which is neither or nor, are used to connect two things that are not true, meaning that they have not been to Canada, right? And then we have the correlative conjunction, which is either or, and these are used to connect two possibilities or two choices. For example, it's either Alyssa will answer the phone or it will go to voicemail, meaning you must either answer the phone or just leave it and it goes to voicemail. It's like the two possibilities, it's like the choices that you have to either answer the phone or to let it just go to voicemail. And then we have the correlative conjunction, which is whether or, which is whether and or, and they are used to connect two possibilities or two choices and express some uncertainty about which is true. So whether or. So the correlative conjunctions, which is whether or, they connect two possibilities or choices that expresses some uncertainty about which one is true. For example, I'm not sure whether Brian or Sonia borrowed my book. So it's more like a confusion, right? So I'm not sure whether Brian or Sonia borrowed my book. So it can either be Brian or it can be Sonia, but one of them borrowed the book. And lastly, the correlative conjunction, if or then, are used to connect a condition with its consequence. For example, if this map is correct, then Miss Perez's directions are inaccurate. So if this map is correct, then Miss Perez's directions are inaccurate. And that basically it is connecting a condition with its consequence. And in this case, right, it basically shows that the condition is consequence. So use the correlative conjunction if, and then we use then. All right. So those are a few examples of correlative conjunctions. And we say that we are doing our tutorial lesson on aplusstudents.ca. And we're going to the first lesson, which is to use the correct pair of correlative conjunctions. And remember, we said correlative conjunctions are conjunctions that are used in pairs, right? And they are used to show a relationship between two equal parts of a sentence. So, for example, such as the two nouns or two verb phrases. So, some of the common correlative conjunctions we said are both or and, not only but also, neither nor, either or, whether or, and if within. Right? And when it comes to the correlative conjunction, right, we're going to quickly complete a sentence with the better correlative conjunction by either choosing one of the most common correlative conjunctions. It says the sting of the box jellyfish is extremely painful, deadly. The venom of this sea creature is considered to be one of the most dangerous in the world. So if we choose the correlative conjunction, right? And then it says the sting of the box jelly is both extremely painful, but not but and. So both extremely painful and deadly. So which means that our pairs that we're using is both or and. And remember we said that we use the word both or and to basically use it to connect two things that are each true. All right, so if we look at the next one, it says each of the three angles in a triangle measures less than 90 degrees. That triangle is considered acute. So we need to choose the correlative conjunction. And if we choose the correct one, then we will say if each of the three angles in a triangle measures less than 90 degrees, then that triangle is considered acute. All right, so if and then. The last one says most of the coins in Brendan's extensive collection are silver, but some haven't been identified. Brendan can't tell whether they are good or they are brass. So basically, if we look at the sentence, then it says, oopsie, most of the coins in Brendan's extensive collection are silver, but they haven't been identified. Brandon can tell whether they are good or they are brass. So whether or. So that is basically how we need to add the correlative conjunction or complete the correlative conjunction with the correct sentence. All right. And once again, we said a correlative conjunction, right? It is used, or a conjunction, it is a conjunction that is used in pairs, right? And so far we have read the pairs. And they are used to show a relationship between the two equal parts within a sentence. It can either be nouns or it can be verb phrases. And some of the common correlative conjunctions we said are both or and, not only but also, neither nor, either or, whether or if then. And we see the correlative conjunction for both or and, as well as not only but also, are used to connect two things that are each true. And the correlative conjunction neither or nor are used to connect two things that are each untrue. Neither nor. So things that are untrue, right? And then the correlative conjunction, which is either or, are used to connect two possibilities or two choices. Then we have the correlative conjunction, which is whether or, are used to connect two possibilities or choices, as well as to express some uncertainty about which is true. And then we have the correlative conjunction, which is if or then, and they are used to connect a condition with its consequence, right? So now we're going to the test where we're going to use the correct pair of correlative conjunction. So we're going to our test. And we're going to complete the sentence with the best correlative conjunction. So we're going to complete the sentence with a base correlative conjunction. So in Kathakali, a classic dance of southwestern India, men and boys traditionally perform. We can maybe say both the male and the female roles in the dance. So if we choose the correct correlative conjunctions, then we can say both or and. So we see that in Kathakali, a classic dance of Southwest India, men and boys traditionally perform the male, both both the male and the female roles in the dance. So we go with both or and. And both or and is correct. So we need to complete the sentence with a base correlative conjunction. So the influenza virus H5N1 is transmitted from infected birds to humans. So we can say that if the virus evolves into a strain that could be transmitted between humans, then it will quickly spread worldwide. And if and then is correct. A sting of the jellyfish, of the box jellyfish, is, do we say both extremely painful and deadly? Or do we say neither extremely painful nor deadly? All right, so it says the sting of the box jellyfish is, and we're going to say it is both extremely painful and deadly. The venom of this sea creature is considered to be one of the most deadliest in the world. All right, so then we use both or and that is to choose the better correlative conjunction in pairs. So we said both or and. In my opinion, are we going to say neither the chocolate bar fig nor the chocolate paradise brownies tastes better than lemon? But that's because I'm a huge fan of chocolate. So, in my opinion, we can say neither the chocolate fig bar nor the chocolate paradise brownie tastes better than the lemon pomegranate cupcakes. But that's because I'm a huge fan of chocolate. So, we're going to say neither the chocolate fig bars nor the chocolate paradise brownies. Oh, so it's actually both, which is both or and. And a few or a new prototype for a toothbrush cube collapses like an accordion. Focus every bit of toothpaste out. So do we say both you struggled to squeeze out the last bit of toothpaste and you might be interested in this new design? Or so a new prototype for the toothbrush tube collapses like an accordion, focusing every bit of toothpaste out. All right. Then we're gonna say a new prototype for the toothbrush collapses like an accordion, forcing every bit of toothpaste out. Then we can say if you've ever struggled to squeeze out that last bit of toothpaste, then you might be interested in this new design. So we use if and then. All right. So the thorny covering of the durian, a large fruit shaped like a rugby ball, can be opened up either by stepping on the fruit with enough force to the crack or to crack the husk, or by digging into it with a sharp knife. All right, so we have the thorny covering of the durian, a large fruit shaped like a rugby ball, can be opened up either by stepping on the fruit with enough force to crack the husk, or by digging it into the sharp knife. All right. So we say the thorny covering of the durian. So we're going to choose either or. So the thorny covering of the durian, a large fruit shaped like a rugby ball, can be opened either by stepping on the fruit with enough force to crack the husk, or by digging into it with a sharp knife. So either or, that is the choices. If interplanetary for tourism ever becomes possible, I would love to visit the rings of Saturn, the great red spot on Jupiter. So the interplanetary tourism ever becomes possible, and I would love to visit either the rings of Saturn or the great red spot of Jupiter. And that is basically an easier mode of transport, right? So or, either this or that, which is a choice. A study conducted in 2013. So the study conducted in 2013 found that if people spend a lot of time browsing social media, social network sites, then they tend to feel more envious of others. All right, so a study conducted found that if people spend a lot of time browsing on social network sites, they tend to feel more envious of others. And you will feel envious of others because the more you are spending on social media, all right, so we can then say if people spend a lot of time, then they tend to feel more envious of others. So if and then. So we have bottlenose dolphins communicate with each other using, do we say both body language and sound? So both body language and sound. They leap into the air, slap their tails on the water's surface, and butt their heads together. They also whistle and produce high frequency clicking sounds. right, so we're going to say that the bottlenose dolphins communicate with each other using both body language. That is why they jump up and down, do little tricks. So we're going to go with both body language and sound. All right. It says this month's cover of Wildlife Gazette will feature one reader submitted photograph, and the selection committee will choose whether the photograph of a human pack whale or the one of the yawning leopard. All right. And we said that this month's cover on Wildlife Gazette will feature one reader submitted photograph. The selection committee will choose whether the photograph of a humpback whale or the one of the yawning leopard. All right. So the first one, whether, ooh, it's either. So we're choosing. So if you're choosing, then it's either or. It's like your choices that you have. All right. All right. And we said correlative conjunctions are used in pairs, right? So it's either but or and, either or, right? And when it comes to correlative conjunction, and correlative conjunctions are conjunctions that are used in pairs and they are used to show a relationship between the two equal parts within a sentence, such as two nouns or two verbs, right? So we're gonna say, all right, all right. So this is now the end of our lesson on correlative conjunction. Thank you very much for joining the class, and I really hope you're gonna have a good day further. Bye.